Hey YouTube, how you doing? Biggie here, how's everything? And welcome to another movie review. Today's movie review, I'm going to be reviewing a very good film. I enjoy this film a whole lot. And I watch this film every year, especially at this time during Thanksgiving season and everything. Yeah, you're probably familiar with the movie I'm going to be reviewing today. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yep, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was released in the fall of 1987, and it's directed by John Hughes, who also written the film and produced the film, and he did a very good and fantastic job in this film. I give this film a lot of praise. It's a very heartfelt and outrageously funny movie, in my opinion. Yeah, the plot of this film is where Neil Page, played by Steve Martin. He's an uptight, economical advertising executive marketing guy. He's trying to get home from New York City to Chicago for Thanksgiving. And when his flight is rerouted to Wichita, Kansas, because of the severe snowy weather conditions, he reluctantly partners up with obnoxious but lovable, good-hearted shower curtain ring salesman named Del Griffith, played by John Candy, and together they embark on a cross-country adventure with various modes of transportation. Like we know, they travel on a plane first, but then due to the weather, like I mentioned, they ended up stranded in Wichita because of that, and then they share a room together in a hotel, and Neil complains about Del's lifestyle and this and that, and they share a hotel overnight, but then eventually they got money stolen from their wallets while they were sleeping. They didn't notice until later. And get this, when they were this is my favorite part of the movie, when they're sleeping and sharing a room. And I love the part when John Candy's on Steve Martin in bed, and they're like, yeah, and that part that John Candy's like to Steve Martin, he's like, Steve Martin's, Neil's like, Del, why did you kiss my ear? Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those are pillows? Yeah. And did you catch that Bears game last week? Hell of a game, yeah. And the part when they yeah, those are the scene where Neil's cleaning up and he sees Del's like socks and underwear, and he's like, and when Del's like, hey Neil, if you're gonna brush your teeth, take my socks out of the sink. Yeah, that was so funny. It was so funny. Yeah. But however, and then they eventually end up going to a train station, but however, more problems persisted with trying to get transportation, and the train breaks down and I guess crashes. They were on a bus with a limited range when Neil and Del part ways. Neil tried to rent a car, but eventually they left him a key to a car that wasn't there, and he goes to the rental clerk, played by Edie McClurg, and he's angry and he's using the F word, and he's like, you could give me an automobile, a Datsun, a Toyota, a Mustang, a Buick, 4 wheels and a seat, and he's like, I want a car right now. And she asked him for his rental agreement. He threw it away. She's like, oh boy. And Steve Martin's like, oh boy, what? And she's like, you're effed. And that's one of the reasons why Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is rated R. It's more of like a PG, kind of like PG-13 film, but it's actually rated R because the F word was used more than 17 plus times. And I was told in this film film. It was used at least 18 to 20 times. But other than that, I thought it was a good movie. And however, Neil couldn't get a rental car, so he bumps into Del again. And Del got a car, and they traveled trying to go to Chicago. But then eventually, we all know Del is smoking a cigarette in the film, and eventually he lit his cigarette, and it got thrown behind the seat in the rental car, and the rental car had leather seats, and with leather, how leather is and everything, and then eventually, after they were even driving on the wrong side of the highway, and they collided in between two trucks and everything. I love that. The two people on the right side of the highway, they're like, "You're going the wrong way," and him, Del Griffith, he's like, and then that's when they see the trucks and collide, and they're like, "Ah!" Yeah, when he imagined him as the Neil imagined Del as a devil and everything, and yeah, and then that's when later then the rental car started on fire. Not much of it was left, we all know, and they ended up going to a hotel overnight, and then the next morning they were on their way to Chicago, and due to the car's appearance, they got pulled over by a state trooper played by, we all know, Michael McKean from Laverne and Shirley, and he told them they were going 78 miles an hour when they didn't know how fast they were going because their speedometer was melted due to the fire, and the state trooper asked him if they had a outside mirror and any functioning gauges, and he didn't have any at all. And he said, and John Candy's going however, the radio still works. Funny it was the Macy with all this mess. The radio's the only thing that's clearly working good, and the radio doesn't accomplish anything. Doesn't matter if it's a plain radio, CD player, cassette player, 8-track tape player, auxiliary input, MP3 player, iPod, whatever. It just doesn't but that's when they got their car impounded because it wasn't a safe car. But however, they did get brought back home to Chicago in a big tractor trailer because the truck driver, get this, due to the fact the truck driver didn't like people riding to his cab. While Del picked up Neil with the truck. He rode in the cab of the truck. So Neil and Del rode in the back trailer of the tractor trailer of the truck on their way to Chicago, and Del Griffith was like, "It beats walking." And then they arrive in the train station. Then Neil and Del part ways, and Neil thanks Del for everything, although after what he said and done, and kind of reconcile. But then Neil gets home on the train, and then he was thinking about some of the slight good times he had with Del and the laughs they share, and he goes back for Del because then he eventually found out Del was homeless, and thought Del was homeless, and then Del goes, "I don't have a home. My wife Marie's been dead for 8 years." And then Neil's sitting there thinking what to do, and he eventually takes him home to his family, and Neil takes him home to his family, have Thanksgiving dinner. He introduces Del to the family, to his parents, his wife, played by Laila Robbins' parents and everything, and he introduces his family to Del and everything, and Neil and his wife hug and kiss and everything, and Del Griffin shares a smile in the end of the movie and everything, and the freeze frame part. Every time I watch it, it makes me think of John Candy. He was such a great guy, and may he rest in peace. I do give this film a lot of praise, and it is a really, really great 80s classic, especially good film for 1987. And I think Steve Martin and John Candy not only did a good job, but they made a great pair as well. Even I like the cameo appearances, from Ben Stein, and like I mentioned, Edie McClurg, even Lyman Ward, who those three worked with John Hughes in the 1986 film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I reviewed a couple months back. And all the actors in this film did a very good job. And even made a cameo by Kevin Bacon, who didn't speak at all in the film. He was racing Steve Martin to catch a cab in New York City, trying to get to the airport. I really liked that scene as well, but my most favorite scene will always be the scene where Steve Martin and John Candy were in the bed in the hotel room, and that those aren't pillows. Yeah, I even the one where Steve Martin's cussing out the rental clerk and everything. But all I know is I recommend this film a lot. If you've never seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles before, I recommend you go check it out today. Especially, it's good to watch during the Thanksgiving time season. And it's Roger Ebert, may he rest in peace, of Siskel and Ebert, may they both rest in peace. Roger Ebert called it a screwball comedy with a heart, and he is right. It's so funny and everything. I really enjoy this film. So, yeah, and the movie has it has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has a 3 out of 5 on Common Sense Media. 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, and 80% of Google users like this film. I know I did. And let's see, yeah, it had a budget of $15 million, and it made $49.5 million at the box office. So, but yeah, I really do love this film a lot. I mean, so it's a truly a classic. It's a wonderful classic film. So if you, like I said, if you've never seen Planes, Trains, Automobiles before, I recommend you go check it out. Yeah. All right, YouTube. Nice seeing you. Take it easy. Be safe and stay out of trouble. Peace.